the 7 under the shade you want to strive to be like?
The man whose heart is attached to masjid.
And then I would like to strive to be the person who is a just ruler. We learned what it's like to be in solitude and how we can benefit from solitude, and how we can learn to strive to be better in our own solitude.
Exactly, and also how to connect to Allah, how to, to be close to Allah.
A person who is completely selfless in charity, just because I feel like a lot of times we try to strive towards like getting money, or I want this job to give money, or to like be in this type of house or drive this type of car, but I feel like we should also try to attain money in a way that pleases Allah. So like also giving like in charity, whether that's to the poor, to the orphans, or to your local masjid. So I feel like that's very important. That's something I want to strive towards.
I definitely want to relate more to being more attached to the masjid and having your heart attached to the masjid. I feel like in your everyday routine, you can find yourself like going to work and then going to the grocery store and then coming back home, and you're not like thinking about the masjid until it's like Ramadan. Probably finding more time to go to the masjid and take that time to reflect and just be by yourself with Allah, in the house of Allah is so important.
One that we'd like to be of is people who love each other for the sake of Allah.
A person who remembers Allah in private and sheds tears in doing so. I learned that the beauty of Islam is how it encompasses a lot of different things, and in remembering Allah, it kind of falls under your own form of self-help and self-care, and something about that is just really beautiful.
Something that did make me think a lot more is that when you do love someone for the sake of Allah, you have to understand that Islam is very simple. Allah knows what's best for us. There's a reason why Allah has set out rules, and there's a reason why Allah has set out paths that we can follow to become the best version of ourselves.
The youth who grows up in the worship of Allah, you never know like when you're like if you're gonna grow old,
Someone who resists temptation from the opposite gender. What was the Quran ayah that Sheikh Muhammad said that Allah, He notices even when you take the slightest glance from your peripheral vision?
My reflection from 7 Under the Shade is that all of them are achievable. When they first started the series, I was thinking that it was going to be far-fetched and I wasn't going to be able to achieve or attain any, not even just one of them. But now listening and understanding what all of them mean, they're all achievable.
Being selfless and charity in the way of Allah.
So the one that I want to do would be the one sleepless nights and praying for Allah and shedding tears.
It's a youth who grows up in the worship of Allah.
I think Revive is good. I feel like I've been here and I'm reconnected with a lot of the brothers that I used to know at ISB. So I feel like it's just the place for me to come back to and just be with my brothers and just learn about being more.
Chose being selfless in the way of Allah is because I recently moved out, and all the savings that I do, my mind keeps telling me to save it for bad days. Suppressing that voice and giving in the way of Allah is something that I want to do, and not save because Allah will save me when hard times come.
The one who remembers Allah in private, I believe it's a Sheikh Umar Suleiman tweet from a couple years ago. Sheikh Umar said that the more noise you make in this dunya, you have to spend quiet time with Allah at an equal amount. So that's definitely what I'm trying to work on.
Man whose heart is attached to the masjid. That's why I come to events like Revive. One who worships Allah in private, because like Yunus alayhi salam, he was saved from the belly of the whale. So that means if you pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he can save you no matter what your situation is.
A youth who grows up in the worship of Allah.
And one who remembers Allah in solitude. At times when we're around groups of people, it's easy to do good deeds because you have the influence of those around you to do good for yourself and for the sake of Allah. But when we're in solitude, at times it's hard for us to strive to do things just for the sake of doing them, and just remembering Allah and making that effort, it's like a path towards strengthening your faith and your need.
Especially as a young person, you have so many temptations, and a lot of people are sitting around you, so I feel like having opportunities to come to events like Revive and stuff make it easier for you to fit into that group of a youth who grows up in the worship of Allah, because you're surrounded with people who kind of want to do the same, so it makes it easier when you have a community to come to as a young person to kind of pull you away from the rest of the world who's doing things, as a Muslim we shouldn't be doing. So that's the main takeaway I have. So I just appreciate being able to come to events like Revive.